and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's January 16th, 2021, and this is episode 61. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just on my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. New in theaters, we've got, again, not much. However, there is a good comeback classic that's playing in theaters this week. It's The Emperor, I guess starting this weekend. It's The Emperor's New Groove from Walt Disney Animation Studios, released in the year 2000. This film is really funny if you've never seen it or experienced it before. It's almost kind of a very un-Disney movie. It feels more like one of those manic Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons that were, done kind of in the 40s through the 60s that were just all really great. Quite sarcastic in tone. But they had a lot of heart and they were really funny. This movie really follows in that mold. The film had quite an interesting history, and I don't necessarily want to bore you with all the details, but it was initially thought to be a film they were going to call The Kingdom of the Sun, and again still set in South America. And it was going to be more along the lines of The Lion King. So, a musical, but dramatic, somewhat dramatic. Disney collaborated with Sting, the singer-songwriter, and, founding member of the Police band. But, so a couple of Sting songs remain. But really, the movie got changed. So I really wish we could see that original, what that original film was like. There is a documentary floating around. It's called The Sweat Box, and I've never seen it. But it's about Sting's. It was made by Sting's wife, Trudy Styler, and it was probably supposed to be kind of a happy documentary about Sting's experience working with Disney, and I don't think it was a great experience for anybody. And the film again turned out drastically different, but still they were able to pull something out of the ashes and created just a really just a delightful, fun film. So take this chance to go see it on the big screen if you've never seen it on the big screen before. Mask up and check your local listings. I also believe that The Emperor's New Groove is playing or is available for streaming on Disney Plus. For reviews this week, I'd just like to add my, accolades and praise for the film News of the World. I masked up and went and saw it at a local theater here in Salt Lake City, and really was taken with it. It's a Western, and stars Tom Hanks, directed by Paul Greengrass. Tom Hanks plays a Civil War veteran who's a widower, and he has an interesting job. He's basically a traveling performer, and he does performance readings of the news of the day, and it's so an interesting type job. But he encounters a young girl, and she is she's twice an orphan. She's Caucasian. Her biological parents died, and then she was adopted by an Indian tribe, and then her adopted parents died, and so they're trying to get her to her to her next of kin, which are an uncle and an aunt. And so Tom Hanks agrees to help transport her. And she's lost her use of English. She just speaks her Native American language. And they have quite an adventure together as they're both really trying to find where they belong. It's beautifully filmed. Paul Greengrass is a very good director. He directed 3 of those Bourne Supremacy movies. He also worked with Tom Hanks at the film Captain Phillips. And again, I really like Paul Greengrass's work, and they work great together. And I mean, Tom Hanks, seriously, when is he not good? It's so rare. Really moved by his performance of this broken man who's trying to find his way in the world and trying to help this young girl. The young actress that they got to play this 10-year-old, or again, kind of 10 to 12-year-old girl, she's very good too. So great supporting cast, mostly shot in New Mexico, and again, I was really smitten with it. So would highly recommend seeing News of the World. Currently in theaters, and I believe it is coming to Netflix in February. For my 2021 movie watching project, which at least I have one. I mean, sometimes I have more than one going on, and we'll see what happens with COVID-19 too. But the main one I'm going to focus on this year is watching 50 musicals that are listed in a pretty cool book from Turner Classic Movies called Must See Musicals. It's so basically one a week, give or take a couple of weeks. It's written by a film historian named Robert Barrios, and I've watched 3 of the movies so far. I'll put a link to this if you want to check out the list of films. I've got it on my blog, and it starts with really the first musical from filmed musical from Hollywood, which is from 1929, and then it goes all the way up to La La Land, which was released in 2016, which was the last kind of major acclaimed Hollywood musical from a Hollywood studio. These initial ones that I've been watching, first off was the Broadway Melody. This was from 1929. They're a bit. It almost again feels like a silent film, even though they've got sound and have added music and some dancing to it. And so it's just interesting to think about the evolution of film of the movie musical in particular, and I'm excited to be on the journey. So the other 2 that I've watched, one was The Love Parade, also from 1929, and then last night I watched this film called Sunny Side Up, same thing, from 1929. What I've appreciated about this too is that it shows they're from different Hollywood studios, and it shows again what each studio was attempting, and then just and how they differ. Also, I think that's interesting is that these are all made before the 1934 production code, which really cleaned up films. I mean, these none of these are pornographic by any means, but they are suggestive. There is so much innuendo, you kind of can't believe it, and almost nudity, but not quite. you can see why people would be up in arms and would want some kind of a higher standards out of some of these films. But so anyway, learning a lot and appreciating these films. I've put mini reviews of these on my Instagram feed, so I'll put links to that in the blog as well. But hope you follow along. It's an interesting book. I've really been so far. I've enjoyed the writing of Robert Barrio and the descriptions that he's given about these films. They're enlightening, and as I said, I'm learning a lot, and happy to be on this ride of watching these TCM must see musicals. 2020 was such a weird year. I think just it was weird for all of us with the pandemic and everything that got interrupted. It's been tricky with movies because the regular film distribution cycle got blown up, and it's been tricky to know, or just to find new high quality movies to watch, or to figure out where some of these movies that these Hollywood studios were going to put in theaters, what they've done with them. Did some of them got pushed into 2021 or beyond, or just got pulled off the calendar altogether? Some of them are just getting put directly onto streaming services, or just on just kind of premium video on demand. So that's continued to be a challenge, and I'm learning. I'm trying to do better job in tracking these and communicate about them. So, but traditionally, I've tried to do like a list of my 10 favorite movies of the previous year, and so it was hard though, because I was, again, not necessarily seeing all of the new content. And then part of it just because it was the volume. So many new things were getting pushed out, like on Netflix, etc. And then I was also able to see some stuff that I could see before March of last year. But even some of those were a little late because, movies that often are up for Oscars, they meet the deadline. These films have met the deadline of opening up in New York and LA before the end of the year, and then they go pushed out to the rest of the country until later. So anyway, it goes on and on. But I've put together a list, though, because I watch movies. Clearly, I watch movies, but I put together a list that I'm calling my favorite past and present films that I watched in 2020. So, because with 2020 being such a weird year, I thought I'd just put together of my 10 favorite movies that I watched for the first time, regardless of the film's initial release date. So these 10 films are in alphabetical order, and I just thought I'd just highlight them quickly. I've also I love the app called Letterboxd, and I will put a link to it also in the podcast notes on my blog. It's really for film nuts, but it's a way you can keep a film diary, and you can create lists and also connect with other film enthusiasts. So it's been a pretty fun site. I've used it for a while, but I will put a link to this also, and I've got a link just to my general page on Letterboxd, and I'll put a link to, if it will let me, I'll put a link to this particular list. But so here I'm just going to do a quick rundown of my 10 favorite past and present films I watched in 2020. Just because, again, it was just impossible to create a list of just all new films that I saw during the year. So this first one was the great film 1917. I was able to see that in the theater. That film came out in 2019, again, like kind of Christmas time in 2019, and I finally saw it in January of 2020, saw it in the theater, and completely wowed by the technical aspects of this film and just the overall ambition and emotion of it, and really, really loved it, particularly the cinematography of Roger Deakins. Just really was so impressive. So that's 1917. Next up is an older film which I had never seen before. I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. It's called All of Me. It came out in 1984, but this was directed by Carl Reiner, and I think I had highlighted this on my 3 by Carl Reiner. But it's such a funny and clever movie. Starring Steve Martin and Lily Tomlin, and Lily Tomlin, her character dies, but her spirit goes into Steve Martin, the character played by Steve Martin's body, and so he's got these 2 spirits in him, and the physical comedy is great, and it's got a satisfying story. So All of Me was definitely a highlight of the year for me. These next 2 films are by the French director Agnes Varda, and I had highlighted these on my 3 by Agnes Varda too. But they're films I haven't really been able to stop thinking about. First one is Cleo from 5 to 7, and this was from 1962, and it really captures, I think, Paris in the 1960s, and just a very interesting told story about a couple of hours in the life of a self-absorbed woman who's waiting for a biopsy diagnosis or getting news on this, and she's rather worried about it. Next one is another one by Agnes Varda, Faces Places, the documentary from 2017 that she co-directed with the photographer and muralist J.R. Such a interesting, beautifully shot, thought-provoking, optimistic documentary. Loved it. So Faces Places on the list. All right, so the 5th one is a film, and we're back into 2020, called French Exit, and I saw this virtually participating in the New York Film Festival, since they did their film festival online. This is a film directed by Azael Jacobs, and it stars Michelle Pfeiffer and Lucas Hedges. Michelle Pfeiffer plays a New York socialite who leaves Manhattan and goes to Paris, but she's broke. She's basically spent all of the money that her dead husband left her, and it's Michelle Pfeiffer gives just an absolutely remarkable performance, and the film's got some surprising twists, and I just watched it on my computer, but I really enjoyed it. And again, I love Michelle Pfeiffer so much. I have this Michelle Pfeiffer adjusted scale, and typically any movie she's in, I kind of bump up at least a half grade, sometimes a full star, because I love her so much. The next film, and I struggled with this next one because it's a film, but it's also it's a film. It's of just filming a play. But this is the film adaptation of Hamilton that made its way onto Disney Plus this summer. I'd seen Hamilton on the stage before and just was smitten by it. I absolutely loved it. And this film adaptation is really fantastic. It's the original Broadway cast, and they've done such a nice job in filming it and editing it. And again, it's a great movie experience, and it's a great theater experience, just all wrapped into one. So again, not technically a film, although they were going to release it in theaters. I think the plan was to release it in theaters in 2021, and then the pandemic hit and stopped the touring companies of Hamilton, and Lin-Manuel Miranda and Bob Iger at Disney just decided to do us all a favor, and anyway, and they did, and what a gift, being able to see Hamilton really anytime you want if you're a Disney Plus subscriber. So there's that. Next film is On the Rocks, which is a film that's currently available if you're an Apple TV Plus subscriber. Directed by Sofia Coppola, starring Rashida Jones and Bill Murray, about a father-daughter relationship and the dynamics of it. The Rashida Jones character thinks her husband's cheating on her, and she turns to her father, who cheated on her mother and is really not necessarily a great guy, but interesting character study about the dynamics of this father-daughter relationship, done with these, Sofia Coppola is a great director, and then these just wonderful actors too. So I loved it. Next up is Parasite. So Parasite came out in 2019. I didn't get to see it until 2020 when it finally showed up in the movie theater in Salt Lake City, and then of course it went on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. But this is a film set in Korea, and it's about an unemployed family that that all ends up getting jobs for one wealthy and glamorous family, and with some pretty disastrous results. It's such a unique film, so well made, so thought-provoking, haunting. But yeah, but all the accolades that Parasite has gotten, it totally deserves. Last two picks, I think, you might think I've lost my mind, but these are films that I really liked, and again, some of the stuff that was helpful to, I think, indicative of some of the stuff that helped me through 2020. So first up is a Disney Plus film. I guess it's a Disney Plus original. I'm not sure if they were actually Disney was going to try to release this in theaters. They might have, but anyway, it debuted on Disney Plus. It's Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made, directed by Tom McCarthy. Timmy Failure is this 11-year-old boy who believes that he's the best detective in town, and he runs his detective agency with the help of an imaginary 1,200-pound polar bear. And so the polar bear is digitally inserted into all these shots where Timmy is imagining that he's there. But the movie is just this just kind of great mid-budget classic Disney family film that I'm just so glad has found its way back onto Disney Plus, since typically now the Disney Studios is only releases really big budget quote unquote franchise films in theaters, but when I was a kid, they were releasing all sorts of kind of family friendly content in theaters, and clearly the market's changed a lot, but I'm glad that this type of film has found its way in Disney Plus. And that this a very high quality, kind of high concept, but really charming film like Timmy Failure, Mistakes Were Made could end up on Disney Plus. Finally, is a film noir, a true film noir from 1950, Where the Sidewalk Ends. This is directed by Otto Preminger. It stars Dana Andrews and Gene Tierney, and it's about a police detective who's got some temper problems, but he gets involved in this murder mystery. Great performances by Dana Andrews and Gene Tierney. But where I ended up watching this film, Turner Classic Movies on Saturday nights and Sunday mornings has a programming block they call Noir Alley, and it is really terrific in that they show a film noir, and then they repeat it again on Sunday morning. It's the same film, but then they'll show on Saturday night and then again on Sunday morning. But the Eddie Muller is the name of the host, and he's a film noir aficionado. So he always gives very insightful information about the film. And he really goes quite in depth. They'll it's not just often just like the standard 2 minutes. Eddie Muller will give some great information, and yeah. So it's every Saturday at midnight Eastern time, and you can go. I'll have a link to the Noir Alley schedule on my blog, so you can check it out. But I loved watching Where the Sidewalk Ends. Was probably the best Noir Alley film I saw, and during 2020, and I hope to watch a lot more of the Noir Alley programming block because it's really great. So there you have it, my top 10 films that were new to me in 2020. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Links are on the blog. Also, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at moviespap, as in past and present. As always, I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or the present. Until next time, be safe and dedicate yourself to the truth.